So let's talk about the signs that you're having a spiritual awakening. And I don't mean, I'm not going to go down the signs like here's the list. If these 5 things happen to you, then you're going through a spiritual awakening. Because yes, there are signs, but they're different for everybody. And some people, might not experience a certain sign yet. And that doesn't mean that you're not in a spiritual awakening. It just means you haven't gotten to that sign yet, and maybe you're just going to see things differently. So I wanted to talk more about the feelings that we have towards things. So, like, one of the main signs we'll say is you see the world differently now. Okay, the world is different now. You just woke up and you're like, holy cow! It's like, some of this stuff doesn't seem right to me. Like, you watch the news, you watch politics, you watch religion, and it's just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Something seems off. Why are there a lot of people who think this way and a lot of people who think this way? It's very cut and dry. And that's part of the spiritual awakening. You're starting to see past it all. When you start noticing things like the news not being right, like that belief system isn't so important to you. You don't understand why people hold on to that one belief system and they will not go away from it. They just stay there. But then you're sitting over here going, well, this just all seems a bit crazy to me. All this seems like they're trying to get me to think a different way. You start realizing that. You start realizing that they're prompting you to do something. That's a big sign. It's like, none of that really makes sense to me anymore. I just don't care. It just doesn't. That's a big sign. Two, some people actually start falling out of love, or like certain relationships aren't so important to them anymore. Now, love is very important in a spiritual awakening, and you have tons of it, trust me. But I'm saying, like, some people might go, you know what? All of a sudden, I don't care if I have a partner right now. It's not bothering me. It's not something that's needed in this moment. I can just go ahead and be me. And when the right person shows up, then the right person shows up. So be it, That's a big sign. And a lot of people think that something's wrong with them, because it's like, well, I can't mesh with anybody anymore. I can't, there's nobody I like anymore. Why? There's something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with me. You're just seeing past that. You're seeing past that love that just only has to be two people. Now, that's wonderful love. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes it can make that love stronger too. Sometimes you love someone even more. But probably the biggest thing, and if you're going through this, don't worry about it, and that is when you love somebody, but you're starting to go through a spiritual awakening and they're not, which means you're seeing past everything. Everything seems not so cut and dry anymore, and you're like going deep down, and you're going on the rabbit hole of anything you've ever heard or learned. That's part of it, and your partner isn't. I can't tell you what to do in that relationship. All I can say is this: just continue to be you and trust that things will play out the way they're supposed to play out. Sometimes that other person comes on board, no big deal. But you know what? You can't make anybody go through a spiritual awakening. It's something that happens, I had a near-death experience, and I was in a coma and all this fun stuff in 2015. So when I came out, I wasn't like automatically hugely spiritual and everything. I was like, holy cow, what just happened? Over a very short period of time, I started seeing the world differently. Nothing made sense to me anymore. I have no fear of death. I have zero fear of death. And a lot of people who are spiritually awakened don't have that fear of death. Some do. So don't think that just because you don't, you're not spiritually awakening. Spiritual awakening, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much remembering who you are to a degree, like who you are, the bigger you, and realizing that you're here for a reason. Because something that you're going to realize in spiritual awakening is you chose to be here. Everybody chose to be here, and nobody was over there. That old joke, oh, I must have been really thinking something weird when I decided to come here. No, you weren't. You consciously knew what you were going to go through. You knew what you were in for, and you did it. So I tell people, if you're here right now, you are so much stronger than you believe you are. You really are, because you chose to be here. This is a tough place. It really is. So spiritual awakening is remembering why you're here, And then once you remember why you're here and you're like, okay, I'm here. I know I'm bigger than this. I know there's something more out there. I know that everything just exists forever. Nothing goes away. And I know that there's a purpose that I'm here for right now. And once you realize that, and then you just sit with it and just live your days, that purpose starts to unveil itself. You start to realize it, you know? There's so many cool things out there. Another thing that happens in spiritual awakening is a connection to animals. That happens a lot. Sometimes the way you eat, you change the way you eat, you know? I don't eat meat anymore, but I mean, I don't care what people do. But I don't, but that was part of my near-death experience in the coma. After that, something happened. I haven't eaten it since, and I never will. I feel better, I know that, but that has nothing to do with it. But you'll change your eating habits, you know? It doesn't mean you're gonna all of a sudden become vegan. So don't worry, if you're not vegan, it's not a big deal. Being vegan is not part of being spiritually aware. However, realizing where, why, and how that food, where that came from and why you're consuming it is a part of spiritual awakening. Everybody's got their own reasons. It's not me to judge, which is another part, judging. You kind of stop doing that. I mean, we do it for fun, of course, and I'm not going to take away your fun human side. That's silly. But you start to realize it's what other people do is really none of our business, especially if it's not affecting us. Nothing we need to do. We don't need to change anybody. People can think whatever they want to think, and it's none of our business what they're thinking. It really is. It's absolutely none of our business what they're thinking. You know? If you don't like a certain type of person in your reality, then all you have to do is don't focus on not liking it. Just focus on it not being part of it. Eventually it won't be. There are very few people that bother me these days. There are people who bother me, but there's less and less people just as I go along, because I don't care what they do anymore. When you start not caring what they do, they start disappearing. In fact, when I was going to make this video today, I went down to the mountains by my house, and I had every intention to set up my camera and make a video with this beautiful shot in back of the lake and everything else in the mountains. And when I got down there, there was I pulled up to my favorite spot, and there was this school bus. And I'm like, uh-oh, school bus. But, you know, kids, that's okay, cool. But they were like older teens in young 20s. I don't know what they were from. But they had one of the picnic areas, and they were singing this loud chant song. And I mean, hey, far be it from me, you know, whatever. It's the woods, it's a public park. I can't tell people what to do, but I decided, instead of getting mad at them because they were there first, I got in my car and I drove down to another area, and I went on this long hike. I'd set up my camera, and as soon as I set up my camera to do it, a four-wheeler came by with some park rangers. I'm like, okay, really? And then I went down a little bit more to another space, and then those kids had moved over, and they were like climbing this trail next to me, and they were so loud. And I thought to myself, I got mad for a minute, and I thought, you know, holy cow, I get it, we're outside, and I don't own this place, but I mean, respect, man. You gotta have respect for people. And they didn't. And I ended up leaving. And came home, and I sat here for a minute, and I said, oh, you kind of teach yourself a lesson. I'm like, okay, I wanted to make it there, but you know what? It's not a big deal. It really isn't. I just came in my bedroom here. The only reason I didn't want to come in my bedroom here to begin with is because my air conditioning went out, so I just got fans going. That's why I have the Farrah Fawcett here. But still, it's like you just kind of don't care anymore. And you get to that place. Even for a moment, if you get angry, that's okay. Get angry. That's part of being human. That's part of realizing what you don't prefer. That's why you get angry with something, because you don't prefer something. But as soon as you realize that, and as soon as you monitor that thought, you can go, oh, not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. I don't need to change that. And that's also part of awakening. Not knowing that you have to change things, you know? And there's the whole paranormal thing. There's the whole bigger connection, you know? There's seeing stuff out of your eyes, maybe, some people, or you start getting attracted to certain subjects about metaphysics or archangels, or you just can't help yourself. That's part of it too. You know, all those things are subjective to us as we're humans. And by that, I mean, it's our own personal experience. So whether those things are true or not depends upon how we are perceiving them. You kind of get to the point like I did, as much as, you know, I see a lot of fake people do a lot of fake stuff, and I will let other people know sometimes, watch what they're saying. But you know what, if you're awakened, trust me, after you watch this video, go watch a bunch of other videos about spiritual awakening and stuff, and you'll see how many people are just scripting it, reading off a script, or don't really care. They're just trying to get some views and likes, or they'll say something, you know, with fear in it, which is another thing with spiritual awakening. You kind of drop the fear stuff. Fear-based spirituality no longer is worthy of yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, demons possessing you and all that, it's like, really? If that's what you're into, fine, go down the rabbit hole and have a good time with it, but that's subjective, you know? So many things. And you know what? If I could go on and on in this video, but I don't want to bore you. But the thing is, with spiritual awakening, when you start to realize you're different, when you start to realize things have changed, I'm questioning my belief systems, I'm questioning things, I'm getting less mad at things, I'm searching deeper and deeper for something, then you know you're there. That's part of the spiritual awakening. Now, I do want to add this though. People say you're in stages. I don't do that whole stage thing. I don't think there's really stages of spiritual awakening. In fact, I just think you're just more. That's how I put it. You're more. I'm spiritually awake, and in 5 years I'll be more, and then more and more and more. I think it's ongoing. You couldn't really have a stage. Awakening up spiritually is something that you'll be doing the rest of this life, but it'll become less hard and more interesting and more exciting, and you'll be like, okay, this is cool now. And you know what, it doesn't matter if other people think I'm crazy. It doesn't matter if other people don't like me because I think something different. You know, it just won't matter anymore. So I hope this helps somebody today. I would love to hear about your experiences. If you want to drop me a comment down there, and please like and subscribe to the video and share this with somebody who's maybe having a hard time going through whatever it is they're going through, which is most likely probably a spirit experience, a spiritual awakening of some sorts. And that's it. Check my link out below and have a really great day and enjoy what's ever happening to you, because any experience that we have is an experience, and they're all to be cherished. Sometimes even the bad ones. Have a great day. Bye-bye.